Thank you for joining us for 3Bs on the Law podcast, hosted by Trisha Barita, Camille Canali, and Susan Dawson. Disclaimer, this podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only, not meant to provide legal advice, and does not create an attorney-client relationship. Also remember, laws change or they differ by jurisdiction, so this is not a substitute for seeking legal counsel in your jurisdiction on the current law applicable to you. Welcome to 3Bs on the Law podcast. And today we're pretty excited because we're going to get to talk about hair and hair salons, and we have a special guest. And so let me introduce her. Becky Sill owns two Fantastic Sam's cut and color salons in League City and Galveston, Texas. Fantastic Sam's, in case you didn't know, is one of the world's largest full-service hair salon franchises with salons throughout North America. Now, Becky became licensed through cosmetology program back in high school. She did do another couple of things. And then, of course, she's an entrepreneur, if you knew her by spirit, and developed into owning these two franchise salons. Of course, she's been going through the COVID-19 pandemic, which has been a challenge to many of the salons across America. And we'll be discussing with her kind of what her challenges have been. But Becky finds water very peaceful and loves to spend time at the beach for fun. So I don't know how much beach going she's been able to do here in Texas, but I'm so glad to have her on. She's a friend of mine, and I'm so glad for you ladies to meet her.
Hi, Becky. How are you?
Hi, ladies. Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, we're super excited to have you here today. Can you tell us kind of how COVID has affected your business and how you adjusted to kind of these new and interesting times we're in?
Yeah, interesting is true. You nailed that. So our business model as a franchise is a walk-in salon. It's a walk-in model. So that's probably been the most challenging thing to deal with, is because we don't have a waiting room in the salon right now because of the social distancing and needing to control the amount of traffic and exposure that people have to each other. Obviously, we are a hands-on business, so we have to limit additional points of contact when people come in. So that's probably been the number one thing that has affected us.
And we notice you're wearing a mask. Is that part of the safety requirements that you've been required to adopt as a result of COVID?
It is. We have to have on a mask in the salon, and the stylists wear them, as well as all guests that come in of any age. So a lot of the recommendation is for children 10 and under to have a mask on, but because of the nature of our business, we actually require anyone who is receiving a service or is in the salon has to wear a mask. And we just feel like that's a best practice for the safety of the stylists as well as our guests.
And how long have you been doing that? Did you start that before it was a requirement for you?
Yes, we did it the day we opened. That was something that we adopted in both of our salons for the safety of our guests and the stylists. And that was back on May 8th when we reopened.
So we've been seeing shutdowns in hair salons across the country. Some are still shut down. Have you talked with other hair salons, how the industry is adjusting and how you're handling kind of getting through this COVID pandemic?
Yeah, so it is very different state to state. Some Minnesota, for example, was shut down about 3 weeks before we were. So we were kind of anticipating that and trying to figure out maybe what we would do and be able to strategize a little bit before that happened. And then Minnesota actually didn't open up until about 5 weeks after we were allowed to open up. So it varies by state and even by county within the state. So everybody's being affected a little bit differently. One thing that I do see in the forums of the owners that we're able to communicate in is that business across the board is down anywhere from 35 to 60%. I know that's a range, but really depends on what's going on. For example, 2 weeks ago, we had the tropical storm that was in our area and all that rain. So that kind of kept people away. Then we might have a relatively good week, although nothing is back to pre-COVID. But people are not needing to get their hair done as often. There's not the demand of going into work. If you're not on a lot of calls and you're just really behind a telephone all day or teleworking or whatever, there's just not that demand. Large gatherings have been canceled, so people aren't getting dressed up and needing to get their hair done for parties. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but the one thing that has affected us all is just the volume of business.
Which do you think is temporary, Becky, based on I mean, obviously, hopefully we'll get to the end of this and there will be events again and people will be running out to get their hair done. Maybe some people are scared right now to just kind of go sit in a salon. What would you say to those individuals?
I think that it will come back. We're hopeful that it will come back. One of the reasons that I chose as an entrepreneur to get into the hair business, aside from my passion for the industry, is that it's not something that can go online. Eventually, you're going to get your hair cut. You're gonna need to come in and see us. I saw some funny memes online through this whole thing. I don't know if you saw the one with the lady with long hair up against the mail slot and stuck her hair through the mail slot and ironing. It was pretty funny, but it's like, that's just not something we can do, but it brought some comic relief.
Yeah. When my hair salon, I mean, here in Illinois, it's where I live, it is in Illinois, when she reopened, one of the challenges she talked to me about, in addition to kind of that waiting room concept, we have the same thing. I've got a call from the parking lot and she tells me when to go in, is the limitation on how many people can be in the store, in the shop at once. And then it's not, I didn't think about the fact that people aren't getting their hair done. There's, proms and weddings and all that. But on top of that, there's only so many people you can get in a day. And unless you're willing to work around the clock, you just can't get enough people. I mean, there might be the demand, but you just can't get enough people in there to make up that income or that revenue loss because of those distancing requirements. Are you seeing that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing we're seeing that's one side of it. The larger salons that have a higher traffic count, that is definitely a concern for them. And I have seen that some of those have gone to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
On the flip side of it, because some people are being paid a lot to stay home, in other areas, it has really affected staffing to the point where there aren't enough staff to cover the hours, and we've had a reduction in the staff. So in our area, we've actually started to close on Sundays, which is something that long term, I don't think we'll ever reopen on Sundays. I think it's a best practice. It's kind of a perk for stylists. They like having that one day. And I'll be honest, I like having that one day. I have a dedicated day where I can breathe. And we have reduced, so actually in the League City Salon, we're closed on Sundays and Mondays. And in Galveston, we're closed on Sundays, but then we also reduced our hours in the evening. So instead of 10 to 8, the rest of the week, we are at 10 to 7. So there's kind of two sides to that, but the number of guests in the salon is definitely a concern, as well as cancellations, because where we used to have a waiting room full of guests ready to pop in the seat, now we have that as a very controlled environment. And if somebody doesn't show up for their appointment, there's no one waiting to take that appointment. So that's created a real challenge for us, because some of the colors that we do, we will block off 4 to 5 hours, sometimes an entire day if they're wanting, if it's a color correction, you know, they've boxed dyeing their hair during quarantine, they're coming in, they want to not only fix that, you know, the home remedy didn't work, and now they're wanting to do this really cool balayage. And, you know, we may book an 8-hour shift for someone, and then they're a no-show. So we don't have walk-ins. So what do you do with that 8 hours? You're now paying a stylist to be there. So it's been a real challenge. We've had to adopt a deposit policy for those that have not shown for their colors. And I don't really like that, but it's just something that we've had to do. But it seemed to have worked really well with the check-in process, meaning since we don't have, I call it the parking lot waiting room. We still have a waiting room, but it's not inside the salon. So we ask our guests when they arrive to please call the salon, let us know that you're here, and when your station has been properly sanitized and your stylist is ready, we will invite you in. Then when they come in, we give them hand sanitizer. We take them directly to the chair that they will be receiving their service in, and we're eliminating touch points within the salon. And that seems to have been pretty well received, and guests have noticed that we're really taking extra precautions to protect them.
Yeah, that was another question we wanted to touch on, was how your safety practices have evolved. So what you're, you know, can you kind of take us through the evolution? You know, I'm sure you were following CDC guidelines and were very clean and safe prior to COVID, but now you mentioned a couple of, you know, the hand sanitizer. How has that evolved? What are those steps, and are you kind of keeping, does it keep evolving? Does it keep changing?
Mm-hmm. It does. We are, you know, learning every day. And as you mentioned, we've always been, you know, sanitation has been top of mind because of the industry that we're in. And so people have always felt safe to come into the salon. But yes, with COVID and the rate at which it seems to spread, you know, the fact that it's very contagious, you know, has required us to elevate, as I mentioned, the hand sanitizer, the face mask. The big thing I think with that is the, you know, keeping, if you're going to cough or you're going to sneeze, it's really kind of keeping it contained. And I know that that's a hot topic. People have their opinions on whether they work or don't work, but people understand that that's what we need to do to be open, and they appreciate it. And I don't judge anybody for their opinion as to whether they're grumpy when they come in here and have to wear one or not, because I realize that everybody has their opinion because of the situation that they're in.
And nobody loves the masks. Let's face it. It's not like
it.
Somebody's like, maybe some of these people that have gotten these really cool fashion masks. My mask is not that cool. It's like the white, boring mask. But I don't know. Camille, do you want to say something about LA? Because look at the Susan.
Cool.
Susan's Star Wars
mask that I made.
Oh, Susan has a Star Wars mask.
Fun, right?
She loves Star Wars, Becky. So
fun.
Camille, do you want to talk about it? You're in LA. Like salons have had a rough.
Like they're not open here still, which is
open for a bit, and then you close back down, right, Camille?
Correct. They were open, and I managed to sneak in and get a haircut a couple months ago. But I have short hair. Obviously, the COVID hair is going on right now. So Becky, I know I had asked you. I'm going to sneak in a hair question, just because we've got you. Do you have any tips for those of us who are not in Texas and can't get our hair cut for maintaining a haircut a little bit longer?
You can go to a neighboring state. I've actually, believe it or not, I've heard that in our forum, for real. We had one franchisee do a shout out to another franchisee and said, "Hey, we had one of your guests in our salon." They literally went across the border. Well, but seriously though,
by my office, I said that's frowned upon by my office.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, we'll just scratch that one then. But no, seriously, I would recommend not shampooing every day if that's something that you're accustomed to. Go as long as you can without shampooing. Let your hair have those natural oils that it produces. I have become a huge fan of dry shampoo. Never really was before, but I have become that way because I also didn't have the need for a while to go out every day and look like I owned a hair salon. So dry shampoo, and a little tip on using that is when you style your hair, people tend to wait until their hair is already oily and a few days in before they think, oh, I'm going to use this because it's called a shampoo. But to use that on a fresh style will help absorb those additional oils that maybe you don't want to see in your style over the next few days. And if you use it on the front end instead of waiting until the back end, then that will also help you as well.
Oh, that's a great. See, I knew I would learn something even more today. So thank you. And now I know I've been doing everything wrong, and I'm going to do my hair routine. But seriously, and all joking aside, employee morale is a huge issue, especially now. And I know, all of the three of us have struggled with that, in our respective firms. How have you kept your employee morale up during this time?
So it really goes back to the very beginning of quarantine. The Galveston location is a salon that's been there over 20 years, and it really needed some love. And it's really hard to, it's impossible to go in and paint and do that kind of a project when you're open 7 days a week. So we took the time during quarantine, and we quarantined inside the salon, my husband and I, instead of quarantining at home. And we gave that salon a facelift, and it's beautiful. So it's got the new fresh colors. We got them a new washer and dryer. We made some changes that really enhanced the appearance of the salon and surprised them. So when they came back, they just had this beautiful place to come to work every day. The guests love it, and it's something that we're very proud of. In addition to that, prior to opening, we pulled all the managers from both salons together, and we went through all of the guidelines. We went through TDLR, our Texas licensing agency for cosmetology, to make sure that we were following all of the guidelines, and that it was something that they knew how to implement. So it wasn't like I just came in and said, we're doing this, 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 and this, and this is how it's going to be done, and you better get it done. And having their engagement and having them participate in that really helped them feel valued. Then the day prior to opening, we brought all of the staff in from both salons together in one meeting and just heard them out. What are your concerns? What have you heard? What do you want us to take into consideration as we move forward? And we listened to all of that and addressed each item, and then even tweaked our plan a little bit based on their concerns so that they felt safe coming back. So having them feel heard and understood and knowing that we had their safety top of mind was very important. And then aside from that, during quarantine, we would send out these corny texts and these funny memes and ask people what they're doing. And so we had some really good laughs along the way. We provided a lot of educational opportunities. And then moving forward, we're doing just some little contests within the salon and trying to keep it as uplifting as possible.
I love that.
I love that too. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, go ahead, Susan.
I was going to say, taking the opportunity, right? Turning the quarantine into an opportunity to really think about your business and bring back. Yeah, I think that's great.
That silver lining kind of, these two up there don't get hurricanes like you and I do, Becky, but we've seen Galveston down here pretty decimated by a hurricane, tropical storm, and then, it bounces back, and, some of the businesses take that insurance money to, create something beautiful. And so I think that's really incredible, Becky, that, it's easy, take that moment where you just wallow in it and you go, this situation is awful. And I'm trying to figure it out with these businesses. It's not like this was like on your radar last year that your business would be one of the major businesses that would be shut down during a pandemic. Now, right? You're on the radar of being salons are dangerous. So,
right.
But now, taking that moment to kind of like bring the employee morale up, to take that moment to like change things for the salon, even get them excited, to get to the customers that are coming back and excited. I just think that's really cool, Becky. And it sounds like you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Is there a place you can tell everybody where to contact you and kind of check you out on Facebook, or go ahead and give us the details?
All right. So in Galveston, our Facebook page is fantasticsams.galveston.tx. And the League City location, our Facebook page is Fantastic Sam's League City Parkway. And then, of course, just our webpage, you can either find us through the fantasticsams.com and search our location, or just go direct at fantasticsamsgalveston.com or fantasticsamsleaguecity.com.
Awesome. We're so excited to have you as a guest. Before you leave, we'd like to torture you with our very first we have a competition going between the three of us, where we're going to give our guests an opportunity to answer a question, and then we're keeping a tally on the background, and we're gonna come up with different things that the winner gets to make the other two bees do. So, go with us on this. It's
okay.
It's called the 3Bs Showdown, and so the question topic today that we picked would be, since we're getting here to the end of summer, would be summer food. And what would be your favorite summer food, Becky? And I know you don't know which one of us put forth which option, but take your best guess and pick mine for sure. Because
I know, no pressure, right?
We're both from Texas. You're in trouble if you don't pick it. No. Okay. All right. Your three choices are avocado, A, avocado, B, corn on the cob, or C, brisket.
Brisket.
Yeah, good choice.
Oh man!
I knew it.
They don't even understand what it is. You come down to
summer food.
It is a summer food.
That easy. That's like an all-year food.
I know.
I kind of think Trisha got a fast one in there on us, Susan.
That's right. I went first. 1 point for me, ladies.
Every time. What's your favorite book, Trisha? Brisket. What's your favorite clothing? No, all right.
They're just store losers. One for me, and then we'll be talking about on our other podcast what we will do when I win, basically what y'all will have to do. But stay tuned for that, everybody. So in case you didn't catch the name of this episode, it's Harry out there. So thank you, Becky, for joining us on Challenges Faced by Salons during COVID-19.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast of 3Bs on the Law. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. We also welcome any comments. If you'd like to get in touch with us or suggest a future topic, you can email us at 3THREEBsonthelaw@gmail.com. And because we're lawyers, we need to remind you that this podcast is not meant to provide you with legal advice and does not create an attorney-client relationship. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great day.